name right today. Asked if he wanted a job in Kentucky. He said he already got one. He said he worked Saturdays and Sundays in Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Hey, at least I know who to call. I know where your wife works too.
We'll call this meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Harrison County Board of Education, special meeting for the Liberty closure here at Robert C. Byrd High School Receiving School, and we'll stand for pledge of allegiance. Mr. Phillips, could you try to retire our flag? Sure. For future. To the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the purpose of this meeting is closure hearing for Robert C. Byrd, the receiving school. We have delegations to sign up, and the way this works is each delegation has 5 minutes. There's no yielding of time. And the speakers at this meeting and all subsequent meetings are to speak on the context of the schools that we're meeting at. Meaning, the comments should be tailored toward Robert C. Byrd, and then our following meeting will be Liberty High School, and then so forth. So whatever the speaker is speaking on needs to speak on the school that we are at and how their comments are germane to that school. Following the delegation, then under board member comments, if any board members have any questions of the superintendent or the staff, they can ask them at that time. So with that, we have 4 individuals signed up to speak. Each have 5 minutes. I think our timer gets over there in the corner. So first is Toby Knight.
All right. So I'm going to speak about the document itself. And since it's pertinent to our CB Liberty, it should be good to go. So let's just talk about the accuracy of the document. I mean, if we start looking at, first of all, have you guys read the document? Are you guys good with the document, or you think it's sufficient?
I mean, we'll have to address that in our board member conference, as far as whatever questions they want to answer.
So if you guys have reviewed it, we just start on page, in the executive summary, the 3rd page, or the second sentence, the overall student enrollment has decreased by 3,433 students from 2015 to 2023. That's a lot. That is a lot of students. But then we go down to enrollment, section 3.2.A, second paragraph, or first paragraph. It says Harrison County has had a 3,433 decrease in population from 2016 to 23. The student enrollment has decreased by 947 students. So which is it? Is it 3,000 or 1,000? That's page, that's the executive summary. I mean, that's, I don't know, that's a lot right there. And then we're talking about, housing all students in a more newly constructed facility. The intent, I think, is to move kids into Liberty. So I don't quite understand that question or that statement that we're moving to, a newly constructed. And also into this, it says, the merger would provide the following: improve school transportation efficiency. How does that work? Because right now, Mountaineer Middle and Liberty's close. Mountaineer Middle, the new middle schools will be over across town. So the distance has got greater. I don't know how that improves efficiency. So kind of want to know kind of how that works. And how's the busing going to work also? But we'll get to that probably. Throughout the document also, there is numerous times that the numbers just don't add up. If you go through, let's say, enrollment for RCB, the narrative says 668, another narrative table says 714, 696 for a certified collection data. SBA funds or SBA form says 723. That's pretty big difference between those numbers. Same thing with building capacity. Sometimes it's stating 1,262, other times it's stating 999. 999, that's on the SBA form that was done by the architect company, professional engineers. So how's there over 200 difference in that? So if you just take the lowest number in the capacity or the highest number in the capacity, that gives you a range for RCD. And when you combine those schools into it, RCD is going to be somewhere, based off just the various numbers in that report, between 87 and 125% capacity day one, based off your guys' numbers. 125, that is 250 kids. The difference between that's 38%, almost 40% range. There's no way that you guys can make a decision on that type of data, having a range of that big. You just can't. I mean, we don't make that type of decision on personal life. We don't make that decision going to Lowe's to pick out what color paint. We'd have a better idea. So I think the numbers really need to be looked at a lot better and figure out what are they. Are they 1,200? Are they 1,000? That's huge. You guys walk into school, it's only 1,000. That's not gonna work. All right. So there's numbers. They're all like that. I mean, there is such a fluctuation of numbers in this report that you gotta state that you looked at it. Stuff's out pretty easy.
Thank you. Dan Hempel.
Before I get started here, I want to point out something, Mr. Henry. But according to the state code that we're supposed to be going by, 126 CSR 176, it talks about responses by the county superintendent or other designated school officials or board members during the oral presentations shall be made, but shall not be included in the calculation of time. So the rules don't prevent Mr. Hogue or anyone else from answering while we present those questions, but the time does need to be paused if that happens.
The way I intend to handle it is that the questions, and I've got them down, these questions will then be asked of the superintendent at the conclusion of the delegations. Otherwise, you end up getting into that.
Follow-up questions, which probably is contemplated.
Exactly, but what ends up happening is we may end up, if we have 50 or 100 people to speak, at the next one, we wouldn't get out of there, and then 11 o'clock we would then have to reconvene. So I'm just trying to make it fair to everyone to get there. That way everyone can speak their piece and we can answer those questions, because if we do them individually, we could have the same question 10 times by 10 individuals, and that's another time, and then someone waiting to speak will have
Very well
But
put.
the question's there, believe me, I mean, they're being written down, so.
We just won't be provided a follow-up. So, I understand the way you intend to handle it, I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. Make a general statement, my time starts now. Thank you, appreciate that. Don't know why I'm here to talk. I've offered remarks several times regarding this proposal, specifically regarding this school and Liberty, which we applied into it. There has been numerous delegations. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the number of delegations that's been raised probably set a record for this county as far as the most delegations that's ever been presented before the board for one specific individual plan. And it should be. I mean, the reason's simple. The decision that you're going to make is, and you're not going to just impact one community. It's going to impact several communities. And it's going to impact those communities in a way that if the decision is wrong, it's going to be very difficult to recover from. So this decision should not be taken in light. You know, I made a comment the last time I talked about, I said I was flabbergasted because when we sat in the auditorium of this school and we looked at those three circles that Coach talked about, that was all the information that had been provided. I thought, you know, surely there's going to be some compelling data. I mean, reasons why this is required, reasons why we have to consolidate these schools, reasons why it is necessary. I mean, I looked through the entire document, I read it beginning to end. Other than the voluminous amount of discrepancies and contradictions in it, I don't find any supporting data. You know, I'm not really surprised at that, but I'm left with a lot of questions. I mean, the only real responses that we've received, and the reason that I spoke about the responses, Mr. Hamrick, is because this board has just simply refused to respond, other than some hand-quoted pieces in the newspaper. Other than that, our concerns are left unaddressed. Your constituents' concerns are left unaddressed. So with that being said, I'm going to ask a few questions. My first question is, and it's regarding this school, maybe a series of questions, but when is work contemplated to begin at Byrd on this procedure? Has work already began? When did your maintenance crews begin modifying classrooms in this school? Are the board members aware of this, or is it simply a superintendent decision? And if the board members are aware, please point me to the meeting where this was discussed. Mr. Hamrick, you're the board president. You've been on this board for a number of years, and there have been comments made about the condition of WI Middle School and the connection to Robert C. Byrd and how that might be brought up. We know that a facilities plan was developed, but at the same time, I'm unaware of any steps that was taken for this board. So related to the specifically to Robert C. Byrd and WI, tell me what action this board took previously to construct the new WI that was contemplated by the facilities plan. If you can tell me what kind of financing or funding, please point me to the application where that was taken. Ms. Stutler, you've cited the decline in enrollment, yet Toby just pointed out that there's all kinds of discrepancies in the enrollment numbers themselves. But if you look at the numbers in your report, it shows that there's a trend, okay? If you go to 2021, there was 500 students lost. We all know what year that was. That was COVID. The following year, I believe there were 79. So that was the year following, so it's still a decent amount of students. 21, 22, it slipped to 17. That shows to me that the trend is beginning to change. Why would this board, my question is, why would this board make a decision now when we don't know the true ramifications of COVID and whether or not those numbers are going to change? And finally, my last question I'm going to address to you, Mr. Hogue. In a meeting earlier, you talked about how Charleston never listens to the teachers. They never listen to the people who are actually in the schools when they make their decisions. Yet they try to impart on the local boards what they have to do. I've seen many delegations talk about this. It doesn't appear that this board is listening to the teachers. I've heard many teachers speak out against it. If this board has debated that, please tell me mean, I assume you're not just making this decision without anything. Just please tell me this board is not making a decision with, and got to this process without already discussing the matter. I invite you to tell me that I'm wrong on that, because I don't think it's happening. That's all I got for the county. Okay.
Gary Roman?
Good afternoon, board. It's a different experience for me to be back home again in this position. Explaining why this place is the place to be. And those of you that know me, and know my career in the background, this is my home. And if you need further explanation, I'll be more than happy to give it to you. But this is my house. Okay? When we moved in here in January of 1996, and I retired in 2011, it is still my house. It's Robert C. Byrd High School. It's the Robert C. Byrd Eagles. It's blue, royal blue, Kelly green, and white Eagles. That's all there is to it. The documents that everybody wants to refer to simply says that Liberty High School will merge into Robert C. Byrd High School. Doesn't say it's going to merge in some building that sits on Route 98 that probably we don't want to go to because we don't like it. This is my home. Too bad Senator Byrd is not here, and his lovely wife to be a part of this. Some questions come up. I've talked to some people. Now, when we built this building, it was built for 1,200. We've never had 1,200 people in this building. When we opened, we had 1,000. We had lockers we didn't use. We had classrooms we didn't use. So I understand we're doing some remodeling to take care of some special needs. Okay, I understand. But whoever out there believes, oh, there's just not going to be enough room. Well, let me see here. According to Dr. Looker, current attendance is 662, and I believe current attendance at Liberty is in the 400s. Well, my simple math says that's just a little over 1,000. I got room for 1,000 more, or 100 more. So that takes care of that. You know what the problem is? Parking and in egress and getting into this place. Better get a traffic engineer out there to figure out where all these cars are gonna go. Because all the mommies and daddies are gonna bring their kids to school from Salem, because they ain't gonna ride no bus. They don't ride a bus from North Duke or Adamston. You gotta do something with the parking and the travel out there. Dr. Looker will tell you it's a mess. Mrs. Knight will tell you at Liberty it's a mess. And you go back to Liberty a couple months ago, and we killed a person in the parking lot. That's pretty rough, isn't it? Because one way in, one way in, one way out. Parking lot, kids. Got to do something. You don't want another death in a parking lot, do you? I'm sort of like Mr. Pelosi, one of my mentors. I remember, I only had that much time left? Oh, you guys are good. Please try to make provisions for the 9th grade. If they can get started in here next year, please let them start. No need to start 2 different schools. Might be a good time to put the pool in. Some of you don't even know where it's supposed to be. I think I still have drawings. I can take you on a tour of the building and tell you where the pool goes. Pool. Interesting concept. And my last comment. I would like to know, there's X more meetings to take place this week. Please, board, at your next scheduled board meeting, make the decision and be done with it. Don't drag this thing out for 2 or 3 more months. Everybody's expecting decisions. Thank you, sir.
Janessa Thompson?
It's like any other government issue. What are you all hiding? You have given us this distraction for some time now. What is really going on? What is so bad that you must hide it? Is it the fact that our school tax dollar money is being spent in the wrong ways, and you're afraid it's going to catch up to you? Regardless of the consolidation or not, it will catch up to you. Look around, it is now. Where is the money going? If our schools are in such poor conditions, then why and where are the money going? For example, instead of using textbooks to pay for numerous programs for electronics to teach our children, do we need all of those programs that we pay for? Can we not cancel the textbooks being delivered at the Board of Education office instead of going straight into the dumpster for another delivery to happen and do it all over again? How much is that costing us taxpayers per year? Where is the money going? You all are aware of several employees that have embezzled money from our schools. Instead of terminating them, you promoted one of them to a board position. Why? We had an $8,000 check that was sent from Governor Jim Justice for our weight room, in which sat on the desk way past 90 days, more like months. Why does that not only look bad on our schools, but Harrison County Board of Education as well? Contacting our governor to issue a new check. There is money out there that is given us to help improve our schools at this whole time. Where did it go? If our schools are ran down to the point where you must choose to close them, then what happened to all the money that was sent to improve our schools? And some of it is currently being used to improve RCD, adding our maintenance workers, adding classrooms, batting cages, etc. Our kids in different schools talk, the truth comes out. RCD had all these extra unused classrooms. Why are you having your maintenance workers improving? We were told it was done and it was ready and it has been for years now. Question is that the work you have been doing, are they licensed for that type of work? They are doing, or are we hiring them like any other position in the Board of Education, desperate to help in a cheaper way of doing things? In which in an article you had said, by consolidating, we can change how some positions currently are certified for that position. We can now get certified teachers to fill those positions. Regardless, you should have never put our kids in that situation. Explains why most kids are on a 5th grade level on their schoolwork, especially since 2020. You should be held accountable for stealing our kids' education from them by putting uncertified teachers in those classrooms. Having our kids learn from their education on their own inside the classroom from YouTube on an iPad, for teachers couldn't answer the questions they had as a response. They just Googled it. Just Google it while the teacher is playing a Roblox on the computer that our tax dollars are paying for. Dora, I know for I have been at meetings with you over these issues. Consolidation or not, it will all catch up to you. Your little secrets are already out. The projects you are aiming for are the new Bridgeport School at Charles Point and the new Bridgeport Center. Mary has a big future for her grandkids. What about our kids? Some of you have already decided to get out before it's too late and have not ran to re-elect. Update our schools that we have before updating an ice machine at the county office because a board member didn't want to take time to scoop instead of having a push button. You gave in and approved it due to tiring of hearing it. Do we have to keep pushing your buttons to save our schools? We have a new elementary school that is having to do their own fundraiser to provide a playground, which is next Sunday. Who plans an elementary school without a playground? Another example, the community makes these schools the way they are. It's not you all, it's us. You are all supposed to be the ones our kids look up to in time of need, not out there begging for money from taxpayers to have to do what they need. You are all making a fool out of yourselves. The schools are you wanting to combine are good schools. You are the ones that have let them run down without improvements for some years now, and plans to consolidate. Let's run these schools in the dirt, then we will have no choice but to close them. Finally, let's be honest for once. You aren't going to tell me that wasn't your plan this whole time. Put our kids first before your own needs. That's the problem Harrison County has right now. Over the past few years, anytime parents in the community want to help our schools, schools that were in the needs was always no, was the answer we were given. We know why. If improvements from the community and parents happen, it will walk your plans. I will let you in a little secret of ours. We, as a community, are fed up with your lies and lies, speaking out of both sides of your mouth, even if you just standing in front of you. Acting as if you own not only our kids, but our families and our future. Thank you.
That concludes our speakers for today, and that brings us to board member comments. Mr. Souter? I mean, I'm going to ask a question, because there were some questions here. The enrollment currently at Byrd is and the building capacity is
1262.
And has there been, I mean, is there work ongoing to this building?
We had teacher pods in this building that were divided into 2 classrooms, yes. Only in those areas.
And the provisions for ninth grade, I believe, that Mr. Robbins brought up, with open enrollment at any time,
They're allowed
they would be allowed to move.
they choose to.
And I guess the other thing that I'll address about the textbooks is that the textbooks come with, we have electronic programs, it's both, it's not a, get textbooks or electronic, you buy one and the other is with it, so it's not like we're buying a bunch
These
of
are a
textbooks.
class set of textbooks. The enrollment that he was talking about, that was Harrison County's enrollment, not the school system's enrollment. That was the county that lost that enrollment.
So
It's
that's
Harrison
total
County, it was Harrison County population,
So that's
from the
not really-
census, and that's
Right,
always.
so that's not really germane then to,
No, there's a section in there, you have to look at the census data, and that is what it is.
so it's really not germane to, I guess it'd be possibly a microcosm of Boston. But it's not necessarily Boston, I understand where that's confusing. Anyone else have any other questions, or do you have any that you can answer?
To address the capacity of Byrd, one of the speakers talked about what it was built for in the 2010, 2020 CEFP. The capacity was 1262, and when it was put into the 2020 CEFP, you understand that CEFP is done with a group of citizens, and we have outside architects that come in, so the numbers in there may not, when we do pull a lot of information from the CEFP, so we use the 2010 and the 2020 one, because there were some discrepancies on the building capacity. Building capacity doesn't change, it was a mistake in that current CEFP, it is 1262. And Mr. Rollins was one that opened this building, and it definitely was built for 1,200 kids.
And I guess my last statement is, in the 12 years I've been on this board, has come to close. I've never once been in a meeting or had a meeting with other board members where we've even discussed Bridgeport High. That's just me. Maybe it's somewhere else, but I've never discussed that one time about a school for Bridgeport High at any point. And maybe if it came from someone else, well, we've never discussed that. As far as WI, to Mr. Heflin's point, we've never gotten to the point, I mean, there have been kind of tacit talks about possibly adding that, WI to up here, but there was never anything put out as far as that's concerned, so.
May I ask you something really quick?
Yeah.
So is what you're saying to me that there was never any action taken about this?
Correct, there's been no board action. Anything further, Mr. Devano, who's on the phone for this one, you'll be at the next one, correct? Do you have any questions?
Just, I've been on the board same amount of time as Gary. And, excuse me, I got a cold. The thing is that there's been, I worked under under Mrs. Collins as a superintendent, then worked under Dr. Manchin as a superintendent, and worked under Mrs. Sutler as a superintendent. And since I've been on the board, and there's been different members come and go, it was mentioned a long time ago, even when Dr. Friebel was here, and then Mrs. Collins, and right on down the line, as our enrollment was starting to drop, that there was going to be a need to look into what happens if we continue to lose students. Ultimately, if you look all over Harrison County, for the last several years, I mean, I could sit here and name a buku of schools, elementary and middle schools and high schools, you know, that have closed. Nobody wants to see their school closed. I was in Roosevelt Wilson when Mr. Kittle come in the first of the year, and he said, this will be the last year for Roosevelt Wilson High School. Nobody was given an explanation. There was no hearings and all that went on. We was just told that they was going to close. And he said, any of the kids that want to leave now, before school starts, and go ahead and transfer to Washington Irving, they have their right to do. And there would be no penalty, no athletic penalty, even though the kids would be from Alavaria or anything, if they wanted to move. I don't know of any kids that left. If they did, there was very few. I know I was coaching the basketball team at that time, and the boys came to me, they said, Coach, what are you going to do? Are you going to stay or are you going to leave? I said, I'm staying. We'll ride it out to the end. You know. And then they said, well, what will you do next year? I said, well, I live for today. I'm not going to live for the end of the year or the next year. And I said, the good Lord will take care of it. And sure enough, we have that. We went through the 90s and everything. And then the next year, we had Roosevelt Wilson. We had no choice of any jobs. All the jobs remained with the Washington Irving faculty. And they said, if a job comes about, then you bid on it. And if you have the most seniority and it's in the field that you're in, you have an opportunity to get that job. There was very few teachers from Roosevelt Wilson who got a job at Washington Irving. It ended up, they turned it into a junior high, and the day before school starts, I was told prior to that I would be a permanent sub. I had 18 years in teaching. And I said, you mean I don't have a right to go bump the lowest person in my field? No. So I got a job the day before school started at RW Junior High School. And there went to Washington Irving Middle, and then I ended up coming here and what have you. So I dodged a bullet, and like I told you, the good Lord took care of me. You know, not only me, a whole lot of others. So, like I said, and the thing that you asked me about, if you look at our state government, the people who were sending down to run the legislature and everything, I don't know, I look at it all the time and watch the news all the time, and I get updates every day from Jim Brown about what's going on in the legislature and what bills are being passed, what bills are not being passed, what Jim Justice is going to do with it. And when it was all over, there was very few bills in education that was signed by Mr. Justice. And that's been going on for the last several years, where the legislatures could have done more to help education, and they haven't done it. And who knows what's going to happen in the future, and all, if there's not a change in the legislature. But that's pretty much all I have to say about about that?
I just want to clear up one misspeak on your part. is
Okay.
that you didn't work for three superintendents work for the board.
Okay.
I just want to make that clear. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.